everybody, this is Dave with DII. I'm checking in with you this Saturday for our live free handpan class on YouTube. So we're also going live on Instagram over there. So if you're watching on Instagram, you can see me from the frontal view on YouTube. So go to our YouTube channel, check it out. If you are not a subscriber to our YouTube channel, we've got the subscribe button over here on your right-hand side below the screen, written in bold red letters. Make sure you click on that subscribe button and become a subscriber to our YouTube channel. We do these free handpan classes and discussions. Sometimes we have discussions with other people and interviews. It's really fun. Every other Saturday at 1:00 p.m. And so we'd love to have you tune in, not only today, but in the future every time. So check it out. If you want to see the announcements before our handpan classes to see what's coming up, if it's a regular handpan class, or if we're having an interview with somebody, then go to our website, davesislandinstruments.com. Go to the bottom of the homepage and click on the subscribe button. You will get notifications of when we are going live and all of the different events we have live here at DII. So thanks again for tuning in. All right, so today we don't have an interview, but we're going to go back to basics today, and we're going to talk about the handpan. I've got a variety of handpans here behind me that we have here at DII for different purposes and different uses, and I just want to show you a little bit about those and how you could incorporate them into your ideas of, if you're thinking about purchasing one, maybe you could, the ideas of how you want to use it in the future. For those of you who already have a handpan, I'll just show you some of the features about the handpan that maybe you don't know about, and it'll be fun. So I'm just going to start off with that right off the bat and just talk about the different handpan models that we have, and then we're going to go into the little class portion of the live class, and I'm going to talk about how to strike the drum, where the notes are located, just the basics. So a lot of you are still struggling with the basics out there, or if you're a brand new person watching this, you don't even have a handpan yet, you just kind of want to find out more. So that's why we're here. Okay, so this is an Aris handpan. At DII, we basically have three models of handpans. The Aris one is stainless steel, and it's got this gold appearance to it. In the scientific, I can't remember what it is, a little chart. It has all the little different elements. The element table, I believe gold is AU. So that's kind of why we called this the Aris, because it means gold. And it's got this beautiful, lovely gold color to it. Like I said before, it's made of stainless. This one, we call it the Aris 12 because it's got 9 notes on the top, 3 on the bottom, which is a great addition to the instrument. It really rounds it out, makes it super luscious, and you can play all sorts of really fun stuff on it. So on the top, pretty much all of our models have the D minor scale. We call it the sunset scale on the top shell. We've done that so that it makes it easy for us to teach and also for you to learn out there. So as you purchase these, sometimes you have questions about how to play and that sort of thing, and this makes it really easy. Everybody can understand how to do it all at the same time, and there's no confusion of which scale you have, that sort of thing. So this, again, was the D minor scale, and we've got the D, A, C, D, E, F, G, A, and on the 9-note version, we have an extra C on top. We usually call these notes number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we call this the 9-note top. On the bottom, the Aris has 3 notes, 1, 2, 3. So we've got an F, a G, and a B natural. So that's one difference on the Aris that's from the version we have on the Luna, and I'll show that to you later. We have 3 notes on the bottom of that one too. But the B here on this is a B natural. The one on the Luna is a B flat. So you'll notice there's a slight sound difference between the two. This one has a more uplifting sound, and the one that has the B flat, the Luna that has the B flat, has a little bit more of a melancholy sound or meditative or mysterious sound to it. So it just kind of gives some variety to the way the instruments sound. All right, so let me just play a little bit of this for you so you can get an idea. So we've got the D, F, G, A, B natural, C, D, E, F, G, A, and C. So if you start on your right hand, everything's right, left, alternating. It's really easy. So you can see how that's done. If you want to play certain chords, it's very comfortable to play like this chord. If you want to play something over here, like that, So there's different positions that you can get into that really accommodate the playing and makes it easy to play. Like I already showed you, the scale's pretty easy to play. Obviously, this is tuned really well with all the fifths and all the fun stuff that you hear out there in the handpan world. You can do the little pitch bend, all that sort of thing. So that's the RS-12. We also have just a standard RS, which does not have the 3 notes on the bottom. It just has the 9 notes on top. So if you're looking for something that has just the 9 notes and it's a little less expensive, there you go. So okay, so that's the RS-12. I'll put it aside. I'm going to show you the Luna Clarity 11. So we call this the 11 because it's got 8 notes on top and 3 on the bottom. So I was just discussing earlier the RS-12 has the 3 notes on the bottom. So it has the F, G on both of them, have the low F and the low G. This one has a B flat. The other one had a B natural. So you'll notice when I play it, it has a slightly different sound. But it's still a D minor scale. We still call it the sunset scale on top. Now if you want to incorporate the notes on the bottom, and it's got the D, F, G, and then the B flat, you can see how that works. So it has a slightly different sound from the RS. Now, one cool thing about the B flat is if you play a certain pattern of notes over here, that a lot of people would call that, if that was just a handpan all by itself, just with the notes sitting on the top shell, that would be called a pygmy scale. So it's a G minor pygmy. Like that, so you can have a pygmy sound. But then if you want to go back to the D minor sunset sound, you can play the D minor sound. You can go back to the pygmy sound. And then go back to the D minor. So you can see it's got a multifunction aspect to it. You can also play it kind of key of F, which is a happier sound. And you can kind of go back to the D minor, more mysterious. You got the F major. And back to the D minor. So I'm talking all sorts of music language right now, D minor, G minor, all that sort of thing. If you're a beginner, don't let that scare you. A lot of it is just positioning, like different positions on the handpan give it different sounds. And so, for instance, if I was only to play the top shell of the handpan, and on the left-hand side, in my brain, a musician's brain, I'm playing a C major chord here. Over here, if I play these notes, I'm playing a D minor. So that's the musician's brain talking to me. But if you want to just reduce it down to the basics, you're just playing the left-hand side or the right-hand side, and you get different sounds. So the same kind of thing over here when I was playing the bottom notes. If you just figure out the different positions, you can figure out that those different positions have different sounds and colors. So when you're experimenting with sounds and colors of your own playing, you can figure that out on your own, whether you know the chords or not. It doesn't really matter. Another cool thing about this, I was mentioning it has the pygmy scale. A lot of people have heard of the Kurd scale. Kurd scale is very similar to this D minor sunset scale, except for it has one more note, and that one more note would be the B flat. So in that instance, if you just start on your right hand here, and you play right, left, right on that B flat, and go up the scale from there, that is a Kurd scale. So it's actually got like 3 scales in one on this handpan. So a lot of people like that sound where it kind of goes. Right? can see, the Luna Clarity 11 has lots of options. It's a really great instrument filled with possibilities. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that. So we started out with the RS12, and then we moved on to the Luna Clarity 11. Sometimes we just call it the 11. Sometimes we call that one just the 12. So if you enter into dialogue with us on email or chat, that sort of thing, sometimes we'll just say, oh, the 12 or the 11. Sometimes we'll call it the Clarity 11. We call it the Luna specifically because it is a 20-inch shell. The RS is a 21-inch shell, which is the diameter, and it's slightly larger. The Luna is slightly smaller, and it's not made out of stainless steel. The RS is made out of stainless steel. The Luna is made out of plain steel, just regular old low-carbon steel, and it's got a nice warm sound, and we have this powder-coated finish on it, so it's nice and durable. Both of these instruments are pretty corrosion resistant. Stainless steel obviously is resistant to corrosion because it's stainless, and this has the powder coating on it. The powder coating is super duper durable. So if you get it wet, you don't really have to worry about it rusting, or if you have greasy fingers, you don't have to worry about the grease or the oils or the acids even in your fingers and your sweat to get in there to penetrate the steel and make problems for you. So neither of these instruments really require too much maintenance. Both of them, if you just spray them off with a Windex or like a window cleaner, you can clean them off. It's super easy. So that's one thing. I typically just wipe them off with like a soft cotton towel and some water. Usually that's one of the easiest ways to clean them off with. You don't need to use any products, any kind of anti-corrosion products like frog lube. You don't have to worry about any kind of anything like that, frog lube or Phoenix oil, anything like that. So super duper easy to take care of. All right, I'm going to show you another one here. It's kind of exciting. Actually, I'm going to move on to this one here. I'm going to leave the exciting one for later. This is a handpan that we have for rent here at DII. We also have handpan rentals. So if you're not familiar with what we do here at DII, we offer rentals. They're obviously going to be kind of rental quality. They're not going to be top quality instruments. However, we do have two models of rentals, and I don't have the other one here. This is our base model rental. We call it the standard rental. And then we also have a professional rental, which actually is more going to be like one of these, which has a better sound, better intonation. Frequently, the only problem with this pro rentals is that they might have had some kind of blemish or some kind of problem with the coating or some kind of like simple thing like that, where we didn't feel like it was worthy of being sold at full price, so we created like a rental line of the pro rentals. So let me just give you a little heads up on how these sound. Obviously, you see that the standard rental does not have any bottom notes, but it's got the top notes, which are exactly what you need to learn how to play handpan. So if you're out there and you're wondering about an economical way of starting to learn the handpan, you can grab one of these rentals. We've got them available now, $80 a month, which is not bad. And you can learn all the basics of how to play it and how to strike the instrument, some of the basics of how to create songs and melodies, that sort of thing. And that's exactly what I'm going to be showing you towards the end of this discussion. I'm going to be showing you all the basics of how to play, how to approach the instrument, how to touch it, and how to get a good sound. So let me just give you an idea of what this instrument sounds like. This is the D minor sunset scale. So you can play all sorts of stuff. So there you go, that's the DII standard rental. We also, like I said, have the pro rentals available. They typically have a better finish on them, and it's usually an instrument that was taken off of the sales floor because of some kind of blemish or some kind of little issue like that. So anyway, check out the rentals if you're interested in renting one to get started. It's a really great way of getting started. And by the way, if you rent one for 3 months or more, we offer the first 3 months of rent go toward the purchase of a brand new instrument. So if you're ever interested in buying one after you rent one for a while, we will put at least 3 months of that rental fee onto the purchase of a brand new instrument. So just FYI. Okay. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you all out there, if you have any questions on YouTube, we're not really monitoring Instagram right now, but if you have any questions on YouTube, feel free to put it into the comments section. We'd love to answer any of your questions that you might have. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments, and we can hopefully answer you live here today as we have the free handpan class. All right, so I wanted to save the real fun one for the last. So we've got this really cool instrument here. This is also made on a Luna shell. It also has the D minor sunset scale on the top shell. So let me just play the top for you. So it has the same kind of feel. So if you started on a rental, you can still play this one. And it's, you're going to warm up to it really fast if you practiced on the rental. But on the bottom side, it's got tongues. So we call this handpan the Luna Ohm Hybrid handpan. Ohm is spelled O-H-M. And it has these tongues which resonate the top shell notes. This is a patented design that myself and Graham Doe created. And we are really excited to promote it and show it to everybody. People that have heard it are just fascinated by it. It's got a super duper meditative sound to it. And when you play it upside down, you have to position it perfectly on top of these stands. Otherwise, you want to put your knees right between the notes on the interstitial metal to get the best sound. So you can get really warm tones out of this instrument. And you can't always tell over the internet on the social media like this how full this instrument sounds. It will absolutely fill up this room with sound. It's really an amazing instrument with lots of projection. So if you flip it over on the handpan side, you can play it like a handpan. Has all the same properties of playing a handpan as you'd be normally familiar with. And then on the bottom, if you wanted to play around and enjoy the tongues. I particularly like this instrument for like the droning sounds. Like if you were to chant along with this, you could do all sorts of fun chanting. I don't have any with me, but you can also play this with mallets. So if you are uncomfortable playing with your hands all the time, you can also grab some little rubber mallets and play these tongues with mallets, and it's not going to hurt it or damage it. You can even play the top shell with mallets if you feel moved to do so. We've created mallets that are nice, have nice soft tips, very similar to steel drum mallets that play steel drums. And you can enjoy it playing with your hands, or, oh, thank you, Daniel. We've got these little rubber mallets here, so you could play it with here. The only trick is you have to play softly. So if you have mallets, you just need to play it softly. You can't start wailing away. It's not a drum set. So you need to respect the instrument. On the bottom, you can play the notes like I was talking about with the mallets. See, I'm already getting carried away with it just showing it to you. So this is a really lovely instrument. I'm really proud that I'm part of the way it was developed and getting it onto the market the way we have. So if you're interested in a really fascinating instrument, this instrument, the Luna Ohm Hybrid, is just absolutely out of this world. We are really proud of it, and you'd absolutely love it. So once again, it's got a D minor handpan top, and then it's got the D minor tongue drum tongues on the bottom. So it's a combination of handpan and tongue drum. And basically, if you get this, you're going to be the only one on the block that has it, by the way, because we've only sold, I don't know, maybe a handful of these, maybe 10, not even 20 yet. And so you would definitely be one of the crowd that has something special. So check out the Ohm drum if you have a chance online on our website, davesislandinstruments.com. You can go there, check it out. Otherwise, you can see all of our other products on there as well. I'm going to come back to my RS-12 to play for you. Why am I going to the RS-12? first of all, it's a great instrument, but we've got these in stock ready to go right now too. So if you're interested in buying a handpan, we've got several of these in stock. Unfortunately, right now, the Luna Ohm and the Luna Clarities are out of stock because due to COVID, we had all sorts of supply problems, and we ran out of supplies for a while. So right now, we're just finally catching up with the supply of the supply and demand, and catching up with the workflow, and we're getting those into production right now. But right now, we do have the Luna RS12s here available. So just a FYI. All right. Now that's over. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any comments or if you have any questions about any of those models of handpans, I'd be happy to answer them. I know people frequently have questions about scales, about notes, and that sort of thing. So feel free to make a comment, and hopefully I can answer those questions as we go here. All right, so let's get back to the basics for the free handpan class that we've been doing here at DII for actually over a year now. We started doing free handpan classes at DII, which is located here in a brick and mortar store here in Lakewood, California, Southern California. Probably either early 2019 or somewhere in 2018 when we started these handpan classes. When the store was open pre-COVID, it was a really great opportunity for people to come and experience handpans, especially beginners, because they might not have ever seen one or touched one or played one before. And since we had them on hand and we had rentals available, people would come. We would get into a class format with me as the teacher and several people surrounding us. Sometimes it would be 2, sometimes it would be 10, sometimes it would be more. And it was a really, really fun way for us to interact with our customers and for the customers to interact with us and get to know and become familiar with the handpans. So as soon as COVID hit, luckily we were really set up already to do these live handpan classes, and we immediately went to YouTube like we are now, and Instagram. Hello, Instagrammers. So now we are producing these live classes for you, for your education, and to help you out making decisions on how to purchase and how to play handpans, that sort of thing. All right, so for the beginners out there, or for somebody that's just recently purchased one, you might still have questions about how to play the instrument, how to touch it, and get the best sound possible out of the instrument. So before we get to that, let me just once again kind of describe the instrument. So it's made of a top shell and a bottom shell, and they're glued together. There's rubber seam, there's just a metal on metal right there with glue between. So the rubber seam, we've got this little rubber thing here just to kind of make it look good. Keeps it from scratching things, keeps it from damaging anything. It just kind of looks nice also, protective. It's got the bottom shell. Traditionally, handpans do not have the notes here. They frequently only had the hole here, which was like we call this the goo hole. And if you attack it just right, you can play it, and it creates like a bass sound to it. It has like a bass note, bass frequency, and it's really fun. The frequency that comes out of it is called a Helmholtz frequency, and you can actually tune it to certain pitches to produce, depending on the size and the depth of that hole. The top shell, once again, is made of metal. They're all made of metal, so this one's stainless steel top, stainless steel bottom. These are plain steel tops, plain steel bottoms. There's also another metal out there that's made of steel, but they call it nitrided steel. We are currently not making any nitrided instruments, but a lot of people out there like using nitrided metal to make handpans. The big note in the middle here is called the ding note, D-I-N-G, ding note, and it's basically the center of the instrument. It's got the lowest frequency note, typically, and so in this case it's a D. And then there's notes around it, around the ding, around the perimeter of the instrument, and we call these tone field notes here at DII. Some people just call them tone fields. I frequently call them notes because I come from the tradition of making steel drums, and steel drums, they just call them notes. So we combine those two terms, so the handpan term tone field and the steel drum term note. Even like regular musicians would call like a key on a piano like a note, or a guitar player would call playing the different notes. So we call these tone field notes. Again, this is a D minor sunset scale. So a D minor sunset scale is built off of these notes. It's a D, A, C, D, E, F, G, A, and C. So you can see how those all ring together in a really pleasant way. When I was first making handpans, I used to make all sorts of different scales and have them displayed here at the store. And frequently people, like 80% of the people would walk in, and even if they had choices, they would just really like the D minor sunset scale. So that's why we choose that scale to produce it mostly for all of our models of handpans. If you ever wanted to get a custom scale, we do have custom scales available too. You just have to call us and ask us which custom scales are available. There's certain aspects of scales which can be difficult to make. So for instance, like I earlier told you, on the RS we've got a B natural here, and on the Luna we've got a B flat on the bottom note there. Why is that? It's because the B flat on the RS doesn't sound good. It's just the size of the instrument does not accommodate that sound of that note very well, and it makes it sound warbly and out of pitch. And it's not the tuner's fault, it's just the way the instrument is made. So that's why we have a B natural on this instrument, and that's why there's a B flat on that instrument. It's because the B natural on that instrument doesn't sound good, but the B flat does. So there are little weird aspects about making custom scales that need to be discussed. If a customer has a custom scale option or idea, we need to really think about it. So that's why we have the custom scale option open to customers if they are interested in something different. All right, so getting back to the D minor. Those are the notes. You don't have to really think about them as notes. You can think of them as numbers also. You could say like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You could think of them like that. And sometimes that's easier for beginners because you can just say, play the first note and 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth note. So 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 5, that sort of thing. Whereas somebody that might have studied music, it might be easier for them to say, play the low D and the high D, and then the low D and the high E. So there's different ways you can approach the instrument. However makes it easiest for you is probably the best way to start. All right, so let me talk about how to actually play the instrument. A lot of people get confused on this. Frequently, people curve their fingers when they try to play it initially, kind of like a piano. People are taught how to curve their fingers on a piano and play, and they sometimes strike at it like this. And you can kind of get a sound out of it like that. But one of the frequent problems with that is they don't lift their finger off the note immediately. They will kind of keep their finger on the note like that. And you can see that it mutes the note. So as you're playing a handpan, you want to make sure that the finger comes immediately off of that note. It's interesting too, by the way, all of the beginners out there that might be watching, don't get too frustrated. Oh, Daniel's got a question for us.
All right.
Somebody made a comment.
Margaret.
Yes, Margaret.
Asking, why is it called a sunset scale?
Ah, sunset scale. I love this. Okay, so the handpan world is fascinating because, again, I came from the steel drum tradition of making steel drums, and steel drums are typically made in fully chromatic ways so that you can play all scales and all different keys, kind of like a piano. You wouldn't have specific names for different scales on piano. So with the handpan world, there's certain notes sometimes that are removed from a scale, and so that scale all of a sudden takes on like a new sound that is not familiar. You can't really say that it's a B flat major scale or a D minor scale, so it doesn't quite fit. And so people started giving them unique names. And when I got involved in about 2010. The handpan was originally developed in the year 2000 by Panart, called the hang drum, or hang. And they kind of, I'm not sure where they got the names to start, but they started naming them different things, like pygmy scale. Some people used Greek names like Ionian scale or Locrian scale, that sort of thing. But along the way, I just kind of found that people were starting to name them just kind of random stuff. And so I decided to name this one myself, so I named it the sunset scale. So it's just something that made me feel like when I played it, it felt like the sun was setting and a real warm sound, a really relaxing sound. Beyond that, this scale, if you look at other people that make handpans, they make the same scale. They don't call it the sunset scale. They might call it the Celtic minor. Celtic minor is actually a really common name for the same scale. So it makes the handpan world a little bit confusing because there's all sorts of really interesting names out there for these different scales. But sometimes the scale names are created by the tuner, whoever created the scale for their handpan. And even if 2 or 3 different tuners create the same scale, all 3 of them might name it something different. So it's the same notes, but different names. So all I can do is give you the best of luck with figuring all that stuff out. Usually it's best to look at a diagram, and if the diagram has the notes listed on it, it's easiest to see which ones match, and maybe you can figure out and decipher which name is the same for the same scale, that sort of thing. All right, so getting back to striking the instrument, you don't want to curve your finger too much. If you do, you need to really kind of strike that note and just come off of it like with flicking it really fast. So I've seen that, and it kind of creates its own sound, its own flavor of sound. But typically when I get people started, you just need to have a semi-relaxed hand. So if my hand was really relaxed, my wrist would flop over like this, right? But it's not completely relaxed. It needs to be somewhat steady. I'm going to use gravity to kind of pull my hand down. I'm not really forcing my hand down. I'm allowing gravity to help me just lower my hand onto the instrument. And then my finger, again, it's not super duper rigid, but it's not extremely rigid, and it's not really relaxed either. It's kind of in between. And when the gravity pulls that finger onto that note, I just have enough tension on that finger so that the finger comes immediately back. That's all you want. So it's kind of like a little bit of a spring, like a spring action, just kind of springs back into position. Sometimes I think of it as like a fishtail, like if you were to slap it with a fishtail, it's kind of like that kind of motion. Another thing that I found that I do, and I'm not sure if other performers do it, but I kind of touch the metal with this part of my hand just before I strike it here. So it's almost like I'm just flopping my hand down on the entire instrument, and then my finger has that spring action, something like that. So you can kind of see this part of my hand is rolling onto the metal. You can play it without rolling your hand. And all of these create slightly different sounds. And that's why getting the sound that you want out of the instrument is kind of a personal experience. You might find that you like that flicking action better than the rolling the hand motion or the flat-fingered motion. I'm not sure. I don't have a name for this, by the way. Other people like using the tips of their fingers. And that kind of creates another sound and color. Some people use their thumbs. When you use your thumbs, it's interesting because it's more of a rotary motion with your hand rather than a flat or spring-like motion. Right? So you're twisting your arm rather than pushing it up and down. So some people are more comfortable playing with their thumbs than they are with their fingers. Usually people play with their index fingers or middle fingers. I rarely see people playing with their ring fingers or their little fingers as like the primary fingers to play. Like I rarely see people playing like this. Not to say that you can't, you can, but again, each finger produces a slightly different sound. So if you want to get a different sound out of the instrument, you can sometimes just switch fingers to kind of create some variety. Okay, so beyond that, you can play with one hand or you can play with two hands. So whenever you play with two hands, you can play two notes at the same time, which is always fun. So for beginners, just to give you a little FYI, a lot of beginners walk up to the instrument and they play it like this. And it doesn't always make very much musical sense because what they're doing is they're using both hands on opposite sides of the instrument and playing together. So one real quick suggestion I have for you if you're a beginner, don't play opposite sides of the instrument, play the same side of the instrument if you want to kind of create more harmonies. So if you play notes that are next to each other on one side of the instrument, it's more likely that those will harmonize than not. Same thing over here. So I'm playing the notes that are next to each other, neighbored notes, all on the same side of the instrument. I can even go up to the top. It has more of a nice sound. Right? You can go all the way around if you want. Which is kind of fun. So just the idea is playing notes on the same side of the instrument is better than playing notes on the opposite side of the instrument. That doesn't always, it's not always true. It's possible that you can play notes on the opposite side of the instrument that sound great. For instance, like the C and the F. the D and the G. But you kind of have to, after a while, you need to get familiar with the instrument to figure out which notes sound best together. So that's just one quick beginner idea of just staying on one side of the instrument to create harmonies and that sort of thing. Okay, so we talked about the ding note. We've talked about the notes around the perimeter of the instrument, the tone field notes. Then you're also going to notice that there's metal between, space between these tone field notes. The space between the tone field notes is called the interstitial metal. The interstitial metal can be used also as a percussive instrument. So rather than playing it like this and getting a nice long sustained sound, it has a very percussive sound, like a click or a snare drum sound, like when somebody's playing a drum set, like that. So it's got that snappy snare drum sound. You can use the middle note like a bass drum on a drum set. So all of a sudden you've got like a little rhythm instrument now. See how that works. And a lot of players really use that interstitial metal a lot for different kind of percussive playing. Sometimes they'll even play some kind of pattern. And you can play little stuff in between the melodic patterns that you play on the tone field notes. So the handpan has all sorts of things to offer. It's a really fun instrument to play, even though it's not made a chromatic instrument. It's not like a piano where you can play all of the notes in all of the keys. But it has all these different options to play it in unique ways, which make every player sound different. So you can have the same instrument be played by 10 different players, and it will sound like a different instrument almost every time. So it's a really fascinating instrument. Okay, so let me just bring you up to speed. So if we were going to play like a beginning scale on this handpan, one of the basic things I like to teach is just the basic scale. And you're going to start with your left hand, and you're going to alternate. Alternating means left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, that sort of thing. So you're going to go left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Again, this one has the high note, the high C, because it has 9 notes on top. A lot of our other handpans stop on the A, so it would have sounded like this if it ended on the A. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Okay, so this one has a high C, which ends on your left. If you only have the A, you end on your right hand. If you wanted to count it out, you could count it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then the 9th one, 9, which is also easy to do. Now, orientation, some people when they first get it, they're not always sure which direction to orient the handpan. So let's say it was set up in a different orientation. What I just showed you wouldn't work for the scale. It doesn't sound like the scale going from low to high anymore. So you need to make sure that the handpan is oriented in the correct position. On the RS handpan, we've got our logo at the 12 o'clock position. So it's really easy to orient this one to play it. Sometimes there might not be a logo, so you don't always know where the beginning of the scale is and where the end of it is. But generally, you're going to see some bigger notes that are about the same size as your hand. And those are going to be back towards your belly. And then the smaller notes, which are about the size of your fingers maybe, the length of your fingers, those are going to be farther away from you typically. So on the opposite side. So once again, you can go up the scale like that. And depending on the scale that you have, like let's say you don't have a D minor or a Celtic minor or a sunset or whatever, it might sound slightly different than what I'm playing here, but usually the motion is about the same. It's usually this kind of pattern. So you're not going in a circular fashion like this. That creates a pleasing sound, but it's not really the scale going from low to high. So here we're going low to high. And then if you start here, go back down, you're going from the high sounds to the low sounds. So that's one little quick exercise you can use to get started. Let's see, if you want to play 2 notes, we talked about 2 notes. Oh, I didn't talk about playing 2 notes with one hand. So frequently I will play 2 notes with one hand, like this. So I'll be stretching my fingers out on these higher notes here. So I'm playing this note with my index finger and this note with my ring finger. Over here, sometimes it's easier to play with my thumb and my index finger. And then if you add one more, now I'm playing 1, 2, 3 notes totally, which makes a triad. We call that a triad, which is 3 notes, and it creates a chord. So it's really pleasing when you can kind of create these different sounds with multiple fingers. It's really fun. So I suggest you experiment with that too. Sometimes I don't always play very well with my left hand because I got my ring on my left finger, on my left hand. You can do it. So I play with 2 fingers and 2 notes on one hand a lot. I really like the way it sounds. If I'm playing melodies, then frequently I'll just use the single finger. But if I'm kind of creating moods or some kind of mood like that, then I'll start playing chords and just enjoy myself like that. So those are some different ways of playing it. All right, so here's another beginner thing. If you want to get started on rhythm, we play this thing. It's called the Austin Funk. I've been teaching this for a year or more, and sounds like this. Daniel's got a flute. Watch out. He's playing his native flute with us. Go, Daniel. So that's the way the Austin Funk sounds. So you can see that we're incorporating the interstitial metal with that percussive sound. So let me just break that down for you real quick if you haven't seen it before. It's got the left hand on the ding, right hand on the interstitial metal. So on the interstitial metal, you'll notice that I'm using my middle finger and I'm kind of slapping it and holding my finger on that interstitial metal. It's almost the opposite action that I would use on playing a handpan note. A handpan note, you want that finger to come off immediately. When you're playing the interstitial metal, you want to slap it and just, I like kind of pressing into the steel. It kind of gives it a nice snappy sound. You can do it with any finger is comfortable. I've even seen people use it actually like with a full hand, like that. But personally, I like the snap of the one finger sound. It's a little bit cleaner sound to me. So I'm using my middle finger. My left hand is on the ding. So it's like a single hit, 2 hits, single hit, single hit, single hit, 2 hits, single hit, single. So if you can think about that as like a set of 3. 1, 2, oh sorry, 1, 2, 3, and then stop on the ding for a second. Let's review that real quick. So 1, 2, that's the second pattern, third pattern, the repeating patterns, and then stop on the ding. So once again, so the repeating patterns, it does 3 repeating patterns. 1, 2, 3. Stop on the ding. You're going to pause just for a second, and you're going to play C, D, C, D, which would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3 and 4, notes 3 and 4. So once again, that's going to sound like this. You're going to go 1, 2, 3, pause, and then C, D, C, D, right? And then if you keep the tempo going and don't pause too long, it's going to sound like this. 2, 3, pause, and then begin again. Do the whole thing again. Pause, right? So you get the idea. So one reason I like to teach this to beginners is because you can use this in your first gig. So you can use it if you're talking to a crowd. It's one of those a little simple pattern where after you get good at it, you can actually probably talk while you're playing it. You can say hello to people as they walk in through the door. Hey, Joe, so happy to see you here for my gig. Thanks so much for coming. Can't wait to see you with your gang the next time, and feel free to put $5 in the tip jar. So you get the idea. So this is a great song that you can use right up front when you're learning how to play handpan. Get going quickly, and it's an effective song. You could even put like lyrics to it, maybe if you wanted to create a song. You could have somebody read poetry to it, or you could read poetry to it. It's just a really great beginning little exercise in rhythm that you can play with. Once you get really good at it, you can start to explore it a little bit more. You can add little notes between. Right? You kind of explore those little rhythms a little bit more. You could do different stuff. Right? You could do all sorts of fun stuff. So again, it's a really good basic beat to get started with and rhythm to get started with for beginners. All right, so pretty much that is our show for today. I wanted just to kind of bring it back to basics. I don't know if there's any other comments out there or anything else?
No questions right now.
Okay.
Let me see. I'm just going to give some shout outs. Diva from San Diego was watching, left a comment, said hi.
Awesome.
Victoria, we love you.
Oh, that's right. Hi, Victoria.
Eric P. Don't know who that is, but Eric, how are you doing?
Hi, Eric.
And Margaret Stedman, thanks for the comments.
Cool. Awesome. Well, all right. Everybody that tuned in today, I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for joining us. I believe later this month we're going to have Linda Arnold at one of our, I think it's the 20. So I'm not going to say it loud because I'm not sure. It's coming up in a couple weeks. We're going to have Linda Arnold with us. She's going to be talking about how she does her sound. It's not sound healing. Sound. Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, she's great. And she really works with the spirituality of sound a lot. She's worked with handpan classes here at DII before. She's a really great person. She has a group called the Divas. Can't remember the full name. Divas. Anyway, so we'll have her next time, and I'm really looking forward to it. If you have any other questions, feel free to contact us on our website. Go to the homepage. At the very bottom of the homepage, we've got the Contact Us form. And you can also subscribe to our newsletter to get advanced notice of when we have our handpan classes and interviews.
Dave, I just wanted to give a quick plug. I'm on the screen right now.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
But ukuleles, I'm building the ukulele site right now. I know handpans. I know you guys, this is a handpan thing, but Christmas is coming up, so check out our ukuleles. Give the gift of music. It's awesome. I have more coming in this next week, so there's been a lot of interest for ukuleles. So
yep.
If you guys are looking for another instrument that you want to play, come check it out.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, Daniel.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody out there in YouTube land and Instagram land over here, all of you Instagrammers on my other camera. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Thanks a bunch. Want a little jam out a little bit, Daniel?
Jam.
All right.
Jam.
D minor, what do you think?
Got it.
go.
Yeah.